So this next activity, I didn't know what to call it. I just call it internet diversity because we're talking about the global use of the internet, and it is very diverse. And I think this summer I showed a couple images that kind of show who is using the internet the most, and they use that in this. So here I'm a little more formal. This is one I thought about and really did, and the other one I just kind of threw together. Notice I don't really have any LO numbers there. You can kind of put those where you think they belong. I'm not a traditional lesson plan maker. So this one is a little different. Instead of exactly telling them what to do and having a presentation beforehand, it's more of a collaboration. They work with a partner, they read, they research, they think, they discuss amongst themselves. Because if I just stood up there and gave them a PowerPoint on this, they would go to sleep. And so I try to keep them active. I also have, my class sizes are like between 32 and 34 for my two classes. So I don't want to grade a lot of individual things, so I pair them up, and so I have to only grade half. So in this case, I give them a little introduction on internet and the internet developments and innovations and how innovators will use the internet. And talks a little about the U.S. and Europe, and then says form partners with someone you've never been a partner with before in class. And I make them introduce themselves. They're freshmen, a lot of them don't know each other. In the first activity, I make them, if this is the first one, it would be find somebody from a different middle school, because we're coming from, 7 or 8 different middle schools. So I make them find somebody new, I make them introduce themselves. And I make, even today, they all know each other now, I still make them introduce themselves. Because they say, well, why do we have to do this? This is kind of corny. Well, someday, we're going to have visitors in the room. And they're going to come around. And I'm going to want them to present themselves to the visitors. This is who I am, this is where I'm from. And so the more they do that with each other, the easier it is with an adult that comes into the room. So we've already had people we had somebody from Taiwan a couple weeks ago, a group from Taiwan come through. So the kids were very comfortable with speaking to them and talking to them, and I think this is part of the reason why.
They're even on the news.
So here again, we're going to refer back to our internet survey questions. And now they're going to compare their answers with their partners. See the similarities and difference that they may have. Now, hopefully they're from maybe different ends of town. And you see a big difference in Huntsville. Where they live depends on what kind of websites they're going to. You wouldn't think that would be true, but it is. And so then I have them discuss why there could be some differences. And there are differences based on race and religion and where they live, the physical neighborhood they live in. So then they like this one. They can get up and go talk to other people. Other people that they maybe don't know. Right there, that they didn't attend middle school with, and they talk with them. So now they have a broader range, and they can see even more that there is some differences in how we use the internet based on different things. And so then we look at this photo, and this is one I showed you this summer. And this was the internet, and really there's nothing labeled on this map, but it is a map. And over here is North America. It's not really showing. And of course, down here is South America. Europe and Africa's in the middle, and Asia is over to the right. And this was in, I think, 2009, I forget exactly. I tell them this is 2007. So, you know, for them, that's a long time ago. Where were you in 2007? And so they take a look at that, and then they look at the next one, which is 2011. I'm sorry. So that's a big difference from 2007 to 2011. And so I make them note the differences. And I had one student, of course, he had to move out of the district after 2 weeks. But he noticed that right here, a link is gone that was there in 2007. Of course, I'm thinking, okay, tell me why it's grown. Let's see, there's this little link right there, and that's gone in 2011. It's not there anymore. It would have been right there, and it's gone. And so he said, well, why is that gone? Well, that's the kind of questions you want them to ask. And so I said, well, go figure it out. So of course he figured it out, that, you know, it was a country that there was a U.S. presence there, military presence, and now there's none. That we've left that area. And so that was part of their question here is, you know, the next writing is, well, what changes do you notice? So his group, you know, he had that, he was the only one that had that. Everybody else was talking about how it's grown. And he had to take a look at that another way. So then they had to come up again without me telling them why they think, you know, some of those areas were dark and now they're light, and what's happened to improve them, what's happened to increase it. And one of the questions I got when we discussed this at the end was, where's the 2014 data? I said, well, imagine trying to collect data from all over the world. It doesn't just happen, you know, overnight. You can't just do that. I'm sure there's a way to collect that data rather quickly, but nobody's going to publish it until they really go through it and make sure it's correct. And so I imagine the next map is going to come out here pretty soon, and it'll say 2014 on it. Then to take it a little farther, when I was searching around this summer, I found this nice little site, and it takes it, and I don't know if you really need to use both or one or the other, but this goes all the way back to 1998, when it was first starting. And you would want to make sure the labels are on. Over there, mine are off, so so now I put them on, and I can.
Where did you get your other maps from, Jim?
It's on that information from the summer.
Okay.
I forget the guy's name now.
Okay.
Jeff something. I forget
Chris
his.
Harrison?
Pardon?
Chris Harrison, maybe?
That's it.
Okay.
Not Jeff, Chris. So here I can hover over the countries. It tells me how many people in that country are online in 1998. And I specifically asked them about Congo. I don't know why Congo, I just noticed that was a real low country. And again, I'm asking those questions. Why are they not, why don't they have 100,000 people online? Well, who knows if they even have 100,000 people. I don't know how big that country is actually. But here's the neat thing over here is it's got a play button. And you can see it grow. But it stops at 2008. And so if we continued that, where would that be today? And we still see I can't find Congo now. Anyway, I make them find Congo again and see if it's grown. It's grown about by 10%, or about 100%. It's like 1,000 users now in 2008. So again, I use this as a way to look at and discuss why some of these countries are behind. And I don't know if you want to discuss that now. Anybody have any ideas?
They're trying to feed the population. They don't care about the internet.
Right. There's some things more important than the internet.
Maslow's hierarchy.
Killing each
Right.
other.
So what's
Killing each other.
There's no
priority?
There's no
Lots of-
communication infrastructure.
Right. There's no infrastructure. Why isn't there any infrastructure?
Because they're killing each other.
Because there's tribal wars.
Well, it's rural.
The government doesn't control. Some kids said, well, I think it's because the dictators that are in charge of those countries are keeping all the foreign aid to themselves and not, using it with their people. So you'll get all kinds of answers from students on why that's true. I heard again yesterday somebody saying, well, the internet is boring. It would be boring if I just stood up here and did it with my students like I am with you. But when they're actually discussing and looking things up themselves, and you'll be amazed all the countries they want to look at to see how they are. And one of them is China over here. And if we hover on China, they, in 2008, 298 compared to the U.S.'s 230. Yeah, U.S. is dark and China is light. So there's a lot of countries that have percentage of people online a lot higher than China. Well, it's because they have the higher population. And so that comes up to a whole nother discussion on the internet. So they really like this website. Again, they wish they could see it in 2014. So I give them a couple questions they have to answer about that and discuss. They click the play button. Then I give them one more site. And don't ask me why I thought this was something of interest. I just did. Hopefully it's coming out. So here's that map again. That 2007 map from and then here is kind of looks similar. Here's the airline flights map. So this looks, if you really put up the 2011, I make them do that. Compare this to the 2011 map. It's really very similar. That the lines of communications, whether it's physical people moving from place to place or just communications, it's really similar. And so I just try to give them as many different things to look at as I can. So then Huntsville was hit pretty hard, or the Huntsville area was hit pretty hard, as was Tuscaloosa. We didn't really have the physical damage so much, but we lost power. And we had power out for, some of them up to 5 days, a whole week of no power after those tornadoes came through. And so most of them didn't have internet. Most of them didn't have power. And so I made them kind of relate that to being one of those people that don't have the internet now, or probably don't have power now, where they live in their daily lives. So, so that's how I ended that activity. Questions?
Okay, this is an activity that you handed out to them.
And just let them
Is there a
go.
group activity?
Well,
Group?
like partners. And then we discuss it as a class afterwards.
And it's overall just general format. There's no really right or wrong answer. It's just
Correct.
them discussing amongst themselves.
Right.